Hello, everybody, and welcome to Overwatch Iceberg. I know that this intro is pretty quick, but I want to get straight to the point. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me for some more amazing videos like this one. Today, we're going to be going through 6 different layers, going from, oh, I knew this, to, no, I didn't know this. Every single transition is a next layer, so let's start.
Tracer's beta victory pose. Tracer's old victory pose during the beta phase of Overwatch had her standing with her back toward the camera and her looking over her shoulder. But it was later changed to have her leg covering her rear because of people. I'll just take a look at both of the victory poses and you figure out why it was changed. It's pretty self-explanatory when you take a look at it. Mercy's super jump. As you're flying toward a player, if you hit the crouch button while you're flying, Mercy will fly straight up into the sky, allowing her to slowly glide down. This is very helpful for her movement as it can help her to perform some absolutely insane moth flying, crazy going everywhere things. Like, trust me, if you've seen a Mercy flying all over the place, you know exactly what I'm talking about. However, did you also know that as you're flying toward a player and you press the jump button, you get to boost forward? There you go. Hanzo's scatter arrow. Hanzo had an ability called the scatter arrow. When it was used, Hanzo will fire an arrow as normal, but as the arrow hits an object or an enemy, it will break apart into smaller arrows and scatter everywhere. Hence the name, scatter arrow, and they will bounce off the walls a couple times. Around 2 to 3 times. This was known as a very big tank deletion machine in the early days of Overwatch. It was nerfed a couple times to help with that, but still, it was insanely strong. Nowadays, he has a storm arrow, which instead of firing one arrow and breaking it apart into smaller arrows, he will now fire multiple arrows in quick succession, rapidly dealing lots of damage. Sombra's ARG. So me personally, kind of off script for a little bit, I honestly didn't even know that Sombra had an ARG regarding her release as a hero until very recently, about I think last year I learned about it actually. So when Sombra was being teased for the next hero for the DPS roster, an ARG event happened, and people had to figure out what this was, what happened, what's going on here. And ARG events usually last for a long time. This one lasted for, I believe, about like a month at least. And as people were putting 2 to 2 together, they figured out that this linked all to Sombra. It took people quite a bit to figure it out too. But then after this huge ARG event and so much hype and all the teasers that Sombra was receiving, she was unfortunately received extremely poorly by fans because of how annoying she was to go up against, and to this very day, she's one of the most annoying heroes in Overwatch history. Widow's Beta Ultimate. I thought this was something about, Widow having a different ultimate in her beta than the one we have right now, which is the Infrasight, but no. Widow has had her Infrasight ultimate in the beta, and up to this very day, it's the exact same thing. So what do I mean by Widow's Beta Ultimate? Well, it has something to do with a very funny glitch that for some reason, every single time that you used her ultimate in the beta, her rear would just randomly grow in size. This was very noticeable too. Very noticeable to everyone else on the team. Unfortunately, I could not find a clip of this happening, which really upset me. All I've heard was just testimonies of people just saying like this actually happened. But yeah, that's just a really funny glitch that happened. Nothing really much to speak of it. Shield generators. Now, Symmetra actually had a shield generator before during the early stages of Overwatch, but later was removed. She was then given the Symmetra that we know of today. But however, in the game files in Overwatch 2, including new heroes and all the old heroes, they have voice lines regarding the shield generators. Yes, including the new heroes. Malga, Juno, Venture, or Matra, they all have it. Why? Why do these old heroes still have this? It's just a little minor thing, but I'm pretty sure Hazard has some as well, and I'm pretty sure Freya will get some at some point. But very, very interesting how they have voice lines regarding the shield generators. Maybe Overwatch plans on bringing the shield generators back? We'll see. Bastion Shield. So, this was a very old prototype version of Bastion, but Overwatch decided to release a video showing off Bastion's gameplay. And during one moment when he was in his turret form, Bastion had a shield. Now, this was later removed, obviously, because number one, we found out how absolutely dreadful it was to go up against a Bastion in Overwatch 1. Second of all, that would have been the most overpowered thing in the entire world, and will probably get Bastion taken out of the game for like a huge rework. So, thank the Lord that they did not put that in, or Overwatch 1 would not have been doing very well. GG Easy. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just a phrase people say at the end of a match, just to kind of like clown on the enemy team if it was a really easy game, or just to just be extremely toxic and just annoying. Nothing much to really say about it. It's just very annoying people just doing annoying things. Mercy x Genji. It is believed that Mercy and Genji are a couple in the game and also in the lore. This is due to their interactions with each other, and in the lore, Mercy saves Genji from death after his own brother literally tried to kill him. Now, I couldn't actually find anything else about them officially being a couple in the lore, but just listening to the interactions, they sounded kind of like lightly joking with one another, like kind of like teasing around with each other, like a couple would. It's pretty obvious that they are, and I 100% believe that they are. It's not confirmed though by, Overwatch. It's not confirmed by Blizzard yet or Aaron. So maybe we might never know if they truly are a couple or not, but it's generally the general consensus believes that yes, they are. Overwatch 2 Season 8. Ooh boy, where do I start with this one? Well, let's take a look. There was the Risa Mythic skin, which was a huge failure. Holy cow. Then the terrible balance changes that they did to multiple heroes, making the season almost unplayable. The Cowboy Bebop collab that went on for way too long and should have left room for other events to happen. And also, the Amalgam meta. And here we go. Are you ready for this? So Malga ended up getting a nerf on his release. Kind of just like nerfing him down a little bit, but also gave himself some significant buffs, making him better, because in the play trial, he was not the greatest. When released, he was a little bit better, but then he got one buff that changed everything. One patch that buffed him entirely. I believe it was like only two things. I believe it was his cardiac overdrive, if I'm not mistaken. And for 3 weeks straight, it was just Malga. Just Malga's running everywhere. And it was misery. Misery. It caused some of the Overwatch content creators to almost just stop playing the game until it was fixed. Luckily, Overwatch learned from its mistake. As the second Malga meta started, it only took them about an entire week to stop it instead of 3. So you know what? Kudos to them on that, but I don't know why they did not stop this one earlier. Like, come on now, that's just bad. I don't know. The entirety of Overwatch 2 Season 8 was absolute travesty. There were so many missed opportunities. It could have been really good. Reaper is trans. A common theory about Reaper is that people think he is trans. This goes to his voice lines, his interactions with certain people, and much more. Like, people like digging deep into this. However, I don't really think this is the case, since it's not canon in the lore of Overwatch, and also Widow also mentions that Reaper has a wife. which we'll get into later. But that didn't really stop fans from trying to like make some sense out of it and trying to make him be trans, which I don't think he is. It's in the lore that he is male, so I don't think he is. Nerf Bastion. Ah yes, the infamous line sang by the Living Tombstone in their Overwatch song, No Mercy. At one point in the song, as they were exchanging lines about I want to be Tracer, I'm already Tracer, I want to be Widowmaker, I'm already Widowmaker kind of thing. You know that. You've seen it on TikTok and all. During the part where the man says, I'm going to be Bastion, the woman says, Nerf Bastion in a really funny way. This has now become a meme in the Overwatch community, but honestly was kind of an outcry to Blizzard to nerf Bastion at the beginning of Overwatch 1 because he was just dominating lobbies at the time, as we discussed later in the layer 1 of the iceberg. Ashe is an albino. Now, this theory is actually pretty plausible. This theory claims that Ashe is actually an albino. Now, there's a lot of evidence to support this. Number one, her eyes are red, which people with albinoism, I think is how you would call it. Albinism? I don't know. Anyway, people with albinism sometimes have pink eyes, but Ashe has red eyes. Now, you all know, red is not a natural eye color, and neither is pink. This also leads to her character traits, as many of them actually point her to the direction of albinism. Now, this theory is actually kind of plausible. People also point to her hair, but I'm pretty sure white hair is a natural hair color. I mean, I've seen people with white hair that's a natural color, and they're pretty young. So I don't think it's that. This also was not confirmed by the design team, but there's a lot of evidence to support that she is an albino. I am not on the cusp of 100% believing it until it's been proven. But until it's proven, I guess we'll never know if she really is one or not. Flying with May's Ice Wall. This was a glitch during the 2019 Overwatch 1, where a player on a moving object, such as the payload, puts a May wall underneath them, stand on the May wall, then break it. Their physics as a whole are completely destroyed, allowing them to kind of float up into the air, kind of fly, by holding down the jump button. Now, this glitch was really bad because it's been really well explained by a bunch of YouTubers being like, this glitch could just happen by accident. A very good example is actually later on in the iceberg we'll be discussing, involves Tim the Tatman. You all know him. He actually experiences something very similar to this, which we'll be talking about much later down the iceberg. Blizzard removes noose spray. Now, Cassie had a very controversial spray that had a rope in the shape of a noose. Yeah, let's just say that this wasn't really the best thing to have, especially in a teen-rated game. You know, it's a teen-rated game that doesn't really give it, doesn't really pass for that, you know what I mean? Now, this was later changed and replaced with a horseshoe spray that says bad luck on the top of it, which I can definitely see why they removed it. Yeah, no one's really what to say about this. The Cheater Rampage. The Cheater Rampage was a sudden uppeak in cheaters in Overwatch 2 that lasted for a very long time. If I recall correctly, from the mid-season of Season 8 up till the beginning of Season 12, around when Juno released, there were just cheaters everywhere. From Bronze to Top 500, people like Flats, Emon, Karq, people like that. Those people were getting cheaters in their top 500 games constantly, streaming it constantly, and Blizzard took so long in order to fix it. In total, about 4.5 months to shut them down. Nowadays, there is still cheaters running Rampage and Overwatch, but they're not as many as there was during this uppeak. There was a ton. For example, Ruben Sargasm, a streamer of Overwatch, is not super well known, but he's well known pretty much enough. For the likes of Flats, Emon, Karq, people like that know him. He has gone 3 cheaters in a row once, on multiple occasions during this time. It was really, really bad. Multiple times, streamers games started lagging. It was just awful for them. Now, luckily, this has been fixed, but we'll never forget this really miserable time. If Season 8 wasn't already miserable enough, there was also a bunch of cheaters running Rampage in it, so that didn't make it any better. Tributes to dead fans. On the map Legion Tower, in the indoor section, there is a bunch of astronaut suits with a red one in the middle with Chinese text underneath it that reads, "Heroes never die." Now, everyone just thought that, oh, this is actually just a really cool looking pencil, but it actually has a deeper meaning. This was a tribute to a fan that unfortunately passed away, and their family reached out to the Overwatch team and said that their son was a huge fan of the game. The Overwatch team, obviously touched by this, put this tribute into the map Legion Tower in an update to forever remember his name. May he rest in peace. Roadhog farts. Now, hang on here, just a second. This is just a funny meme I found, and I thought it was actually fake, but I put it in the training range, and I realized it's actually a little more real. Okay, here. You're probably confused. So, when people go into the training range, and they pick Roadhog as the bot, that's like near where the two bots are, looking out toward the distance. If you pick Junker Queen, knife him, and pull him toward you, there's a chance that a fart sound can play. That sounds like a fart sound, and people started to make a meme out of this. I never ever knew this, but there's also just like this whole debacle of like, as he walks, you can hear him, yeah. I thought it was just a funny meme, not actually a thing, but it's actually, I heard it, and I don't think it's actually supposed to be that. I think it's just a really weird him hitting the ground sound, but pretty fun nonetheless. Pharah and Reaper's Insta Ult. This entry is referring to how Pharah and Reaper's ultimates happen instantaneously and everyone else has like a wind up before theirs happened. For example, Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, before he actually does Earth Shatter, he raises his hammer up into the air and slams down immediately. However, with Pharah's barrage, she instantaneously fires barrage missiles everywhere. Same with Reaper, he instantly starts spinning around in a circle like some kind of ballerina of death and just shoots everybody. Now you could make the argument that Mercy's happens instantly, and you could make the argument that Ramattra's happens instantly, which yeah, they do, but then again, people debate that anyway. So far, the only two that are absolutely yes and confirmed, Pharah and Reaper, are the only two in Overwatch 2 as currently right now, because I don't quite know, because Mercy and Ramatra could possibly have insta ults. I think they do, but so far, Pharah and Reaper are the only two in the entire game that has an instantaneous ultimate. Infinite Bots Glitch. During Season 6 of Overwatch 2, if you go into the training range and spam the changed bot type on the two bots shooting at the two friendly bots over and over and over again, it will duplicate the bots over and over and over again, causing a ton of lag and sometimes even causing your entire game to crash. This was a spark of many memes, such as the Alari meme. Yeah, that was a fun one. This was later fixed in a hot patch of the game, but it was still pretty funny. Emote Glitch. This was a very simple one to figure out, as I actually seen it happen multiple times. It actually happened to me multiple times. But during a period of time in Overwatch 2, if you emote on certain heroes, they won't actually emote the emote that they're actually going to do. Instead, they will T-pose. People like Frogger have shown us off with Lucio. Every single time that they kill the Widowmaker, they will just T-pose on them, and it was absolutely hilarious, and it looked ridiculous. Emily. This is the name of Tracer's girlfriend. We don't know too much about her, but what we do know is that her and Tracer live in a flat in London. And that's pretty much all I know. Bob waves back. Did you know that if Bob isn't shooting anybody, and if you try to say hello to him, he'll actually wave back to you. I didn't know until a couple months ago, and I waved to him, and yeah, he waves right back. It's pretty funny to see some big brute just lightly waving at you. And a shame he doesn't say anything back to you, as that'd be actually pretty funny. Tracer and Sombra stuck under the objective. I couldn't find too much about this one, but here's my best guess at what this entry is about. I think this has something to do with Tracer and Sombra playing the game as normal, but if Tracer or Sombra use a certain ability like Sombra's Translocator or Tracer's Recall, they could get stuck under the objective. Now, I haven't seen this happen ever, but I do know that if you shrink down Tracer to a certain size and then Recall immediately to swapping to her, she will actually clip underneath the map. So maybe this is kind of similar to what this entry is talking about, but I couldn't quite find out what it was talking about. So unfortunately, we're going to have to end layer 3 on a mystery. If you guys can figure out what Tracer and Sombra stuck on the objective means for this entry of the iceberg, I would love to know, because I have no idea.
Widow killed her husband. Widow actually had a husband, but it's unknown if they had kids or not, but that doesn't really matter. So after she was brainwashed by Talon, she was tasked to kill her husband. I think to me just prove her loyalty to Talon. And she did, making her a widow, hence her name, Widowmaker. Which makes sense. And also is a little bit sad, but we'll be coming back to Widowmaker and about her husband very low in the iceberg. Stay tuned. May as a symbol of protest in Hong Kong. Now this might sound a little ridiculous, but it is true. During a protest in Hong Kong, May was used as a symbol for the protests. Now, I couldn't find out why she was used for the protest. I couldn't really figure out much. I don't know. But very interesting to say the least. Junkrat's hidden treasure. This was a fun one. You ready? Strap in. So in the lore, while Junkrat was in the bone, the onumum, I have no clue how to say the word. Here, I'll put the word on screen. I don't even know if I'm spelling it right or not. Hope I am. The bone in the onunum. I'm gonna call it the onunum. Anyway, in the bone in the onunum, he found a special treasure. And he has not told anybody what he found, or like where he found it as well. People like Hanzo said that Junkrat is not someone who would have the treasure, but secretly he does have the treasure. Now this leads for some people to say, what did he find? The only thing we know is that he did find it in the bone in the onunum. So maybe he found the secret to make Omnics. And with Junkrat's severe racism toward Omnics, like it's bad, severe mistrust of them, it's likely for someone like him to find it, realize what it is, and hide it so no one else knows. But then again, this is all just speculation, but it's a very plausible theory. Roadhog Hook Madness. This has to do with Roadhog's old hook mechanics. It was incredibly broken. So, what happens is that if you're like around a corner and Roadhog throws his hook down there, sometimes he can still hook onto you and pull you around the corner and kill you. So it'll grab you still, pull you toward the scary Aussie man, and kill you. It was later fixed, but it was then brought back during the Overwatch Classic event. Brig and Mercy PTSD. You are probably really confused on this if you're not an Overwatch 1 player. I am not an Overwatch 1 player, but I did hear about this, so here, hang on. So, Brig, do you remember old Brig, like released Brig? I didn't know too much about it. I thought it was just fine, but then I looked into it, and holy cow, what the heck was that? Remember the Mercy Moth meta? The joke that these events that happen, it gave people post-traumatic stress disorder, or better known as PTSD. It's just kind of funny, but my goodness, that's bad.
Soldier is gay. Okay, so me being an idiot, I put this on the iceberg anyway, but it's already confirmed by the Overwatch team that he is. But yeah, Jack Morrison is gay. What? Want me to keep going on this? It's been confirmed. Let's move on. The Paris store. When the Paris map was released, there was a really strange looking door, and it was tagged with graffiti about the Omnics, like not trusting humans, safe place in this door, and all other kinds of stuff. All of a sudden, people are popping up everywhere being like, hey, if you do these things, you'll open the door. You know, like those things like, let's just take Super Mario 64, for example. Remember those guys are like, oh, hey, we can help you unlock Luigi in that game. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. That people also just tell people that one day they were open during an update. It never did. It never opened. But it does like an Omnic hideout during the Omnic crisis. Maybe they keep them safe? I don't know. This is a very, very, very interesting point in the iceberg that unfortunately just doesn't really go into too much detail, unfortunately. So we're kind of stuck. We don't quite know. We don't really quite know. And you know what? That's okay. Because one day we will find out, 100%. But I don't think it's gonna open. There's no way it's gonna open. Better yet, we'll get some answers, probably just from the Overwatch dev team, but everybody wanted to see it open. This is also during when Baptiste was being kind of teased around for a little bit as like the next hero, which he was. But that door to this very day has never been answered and never been opened. Reaper's family. Reaper actually mentions that he had a wife. It's unknown if he and his wife had kids, but during an interaction with Widowmaker, he actually mentioned that he'll never get in contact with his wife. And she is very surprised that she hasn't killed him yet. Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting, honestly. We don't know who his wife is. We have no idea. Jesse McCree. Jesse McCree was Cassidy's old name, before his name was changed to Cole Cassidy. He was actually named after an old employee at Blizzard, whose name was Jesse McCree. I don't know what to tell you about that. But after a little while, he was then later exposed for being, I was going to say, kind of a creep. I'm not going to say what he actually did. After that was kind of brought to light, the Overwatch team took a look at him and be like, hey, let's probably change that so we can kind of like erase his memory. And McCree was renamed to Cole Cassidy, which I like personally a little bit better. I never liked the name McCree. Like, once I found out that Cassidy's old name was McCree, I hated it. He didn't look like a McCree to me. Now that his name is Cassidy, I think that fits him a lot better. A lot of people miss the old name. I don't. Destroy the objective. Once again, like a dummy, I put this on the iceberg, so I was like, forget it. I'll look it up. And apparently it has to do with a game mode that people talk about that could possibly happen, that instead of you capturing the objective, you destroy the objective. It's not very well known like how it would work. Maybe like two teams spawn different parts of the map and go to the center of the map and try to destroy an objective with an unworldly amount of HP. But then again, we don't know. Maybe a game like this might appear in the future. Who knows? Sombra is a collective. Okay, now stick with me, okay? I was confused with this theory as well, but it's kind of plausible. It could be true, but there's a couple points that are like, I don't know. So there's a theory about Sombra that people think that she's actually a collective, and she stores all of her data in her. Like all the data that she's hacked, she now has it forever in her until she like gets rid of it. So she's pretty much just a walking data storage. Pretty much just a walking data storage. There is some truth to it, but there's a lot of points that are kind of weird. But looking back during her cinematic, where she
where she her origin story cinematic where she gets the thing in her spine, the thing in her brain to help her like hack into things. It could possibly be true, but to this very day, we have no idea if that's even true or not. The Eye is a god program. You probably have no clue what I'm talking about. So do you know the Eye, the end of Sombra's origin story cinematic, where she puts her hand up against a wall, and then a bunch of connecting lines appear with circles between it, and a bunch of characters and organizations pop up. All in the center, they all link to one thing, and that is a big eye with three dots on the top and the bottom. We do not know what this is. We have no idea what this is, but people have assumed that it's a god program. You know, like Anubis is, the one who made her mantra. People assume it's very similar to him, but then again, we don't know. It could be just this really big government organization that no one really knows about. Petra whispers. On the map Petra, you can hear creepy whispers. Take a listen. Tilted glitch. Remember the main ice wall glitch? Remember when you can stand on it and you break it while you're standing on it on a moving object and you land on the floor, you start flying? Sometimes, if you do it just on the ground, or just on a moving object as normal, your entire screen will tilt on its side. You might think, oh, this is my screen. No, it's your entire character. Now, a YouTuber named Tim the Tatman actually, legitimately, got this. He got this. And right now on the screen, you're seeing the video right now. As you can clearly see, he's going everywhere. He's floating. He's mentioning he's gonna get sick. Like, it's absolutely hilarious. Yeah, a very, very interesting glitch that I've never seen before. Mercy and Reaper lost voice line. This isn't what I intended for you, Reyes, said Mercy. You knew exactly what you were doing, replied Reaper. This voice line does not exist in the game. Fun fact, while doing research for the video, I found a website that helped a lot with this for the later points, like the Petra Whispers. I saw the Mercy River Lost voice line, like I heard of this, and they mentioned it. They mentioned the voice line, but it was for a different point, not like this lost voice line. Here, they even like push it a little bit further. The main writer, the head writer of Overwatch 2, no, sorry, not Overwatch 2, Overwatch 1, claimed he's never wrote in that, and that has never made it into the game. And it's not been a voice line even recorded. People dug deep into the files, nothing was found. Actually, no, they didn't dig in the files because they actually found out that this actually didn't exist a couple days before Overwatch 1 shut down and Overwatch 2 came out. So, this is kind of just a lost cause. Like, we'll never know this is really like a voice line that happened or not. But I want to say it's not, because if the head writer never remembered ever doing it, and everyone else says that it did, I could trust the head writer more than a bunch of random people on the internet saying that, yes, this has existed. But I don't know. I have no idea. I guess we'll never know. Farah's father. To this very day, we have no clue who the father of Farah is. I mean, she has a mom. She has to have a dad. So, who is it? I saw some theories speculate that it could be Reaper or Soldier. But the longer I look into those, the more I disbelieve it, because number one, Soldier, he's gay. So that wouldn't make much sense. And two, Reaper is a different ethnicity than Ana. He's not Arabic. He doesn't speak the language at all. I'm pretty sure Reaper is from Mexico. I believe he's Latino. But I could be completely wrong on that. Someone please correct me if I am wrong on that, though. Then again, we might not never know who Farah's father is. We might never know. Widow remembers everything. This theory is a really big one, alright? A lot of people believe it. Hear me out. So this theory suggests that Widow actually remembers everything, and the brainwashing didn't actually happen. And she managed to survive the brainwashing, and she's just doing this under her own, under her own control, knowing that she's evil. She, for example, there's this one voice line between Soldier and Widow, where Widow mentions that is a lily on your grave's yours. Soldier replied, "You know we were close," and then Widow replied that not close enough to know he preferred roses. How in the actual world, if you're brainwashed, you are not going to remember a small, insignificant detail about somebody like that? Let's say that I got brainwashed, and I don't know. I remember what my mom's favorite flower is. I don't know. Let's say it's a tulip. And maybe more specific, a white tulip. So then people are like, "Ha, you're not brainwashed at all." I do not think she's brainwashed. It's not just that point, just more points. Like, she remembers who Gerard is. She remembers herself working with Overwatch. She remembers the experimentations that have been happening on her. There's no way she, like a brainwashed person, would not have remembered that. There's other things she doesn't remember, so she's probably not fully brainwashed. She's probably like half of it, so she can remember like certain things. But then again, who knows? She could remember everything, and she's just hiding that. Mercy is dead. The final theory on the iceberg. Get ready. This theory states that Mercy is actually an angel and is dead. There's multiple points to prove this, but with one point I want to go a little bit further into. In her emote no pulse, she checks her own pulse, and then she shakes her head and laughs. Why would she just check her pulse if she's dead? And also, why is she shrugging and laughing if people just assume she's alive? Also, how can she raise people from the dead? That doesn't make any sense. Hey, no, yes, a sec. Wait. Let's stop getting serious for a minute. I wanted this to be kind of serious for the last point. That just kind of proves it. She can resurrect people from the dead. Literally do that. She has to be a legit angel who is dead. There's no actual way. Also, to put even further, there's a voice line between Mercy and May. They both say to each other that they haven't aged in years. May makes sense because she was cryogenically frozen. Mercy doesn't make any sense. Mercy doesn't make any sense at all. So, what happened? How did she die? We have no clue how she died, but what we do know that she is most likely dead. If she is dead, she's an actual angel. If she is dead, what killed her? To this very day, we might never know what did that. And this very day, we might even know if she's even alive or not. But this is just a theory. And that concludes the Overwatch 2 Iceberg, and also Overwatch 1 Iceberg. But let's quickly resurface before things get messy.